that the Cherokee Nation was forced to follow when they were moved from present-day North Carolina and Tennessee to present-day Oklahoma. It has also come to refer to the removal of any of the 5 civilized tribes, including Cherokee, Creek, Seminole, Choctaw, Chickasaw, from the southeast. The United States government, wanting to acquire all indigenous lands east of the Mississippi River, forcibly removed most of the Native Americans, nearly 100,000 people living there. Each nation signed a separate removal treaty, but almost always under threat and duress. These treaties forced them to relinquish their homelands for lands in Oklahoma, in Kansas, Nebraska, and parts of Iowa. Most resisted and were removed at gunpoint. Many of them lost their lives on the long march. Some perished once they arrived in Oklahoma because of the disease-infested and poorly supplied camps. And many simply died from broken hearts. Scholars estimate that about 33% of the Creek population was lost in the removal years. It was one of the darkest and dastardly episodes in American history.
When you pause there, Dots, and again, this is just my perspective, it could be my opinion. The Negroes died, those that may have been relocated, okay? The imposters were set up when they got in Oklahoma. You feel me, sis?
Isn't that wording problematic for y'all, the Native Americans?
It is, but let me leave you with this last point.
Okay.
The fact that Viola Ford Fletcher is still alive. The ongoing crime is the bodies are being dug up as we speak. The mass graves are being unearthed in the same land that's being handed to the imposters. You follow me now, sis?
Yeah.
But she's being referred to as black or a descendant of an African slave, and I yield.
Right.
That was part of the paper genocide to write us as African slaves, but we was here the whole time.
Yep.
The whole thing was the same story I was just telling. They just was telling in there.
Yeah.
Right. And the government, remember, they had waged war against us. And they made the original treaties is between them and them, not between us. The tribal treaties that they made with the 5 civilized tribes was their attempt to hold the bear at bay. So 5,000 tribes.
Yeah.
We're not going to leave the fate of all of us to the hands of 5 tribes. Right? We had tribal networks and confederations that were set up to protect parts of the land.
Yep.
This is why in the South, the Confederates was the Iroquois Confederacy. And they got us believing that there was some pale-skinned hillbillies riding around on white horses with white hoods on, and nothing could be further from the truth. The North was settled by the Cherokee Confederacy, which includes several tribes. But Cherokee is the catch term used to incorporate many tribes and non-tribal membership under a tribal control system that became their constitutional government.
Yep.
Right now, we have this interim George Washington established government hijacking the Continental Congress that was supposed to have been us, asserting our jurisdiction. They replaced us with the George Washington Masonic government that was under the control of Albert Pike's morals and dogma concepts. And that was a conjure, a sorcery, witchcraft, whatever you want to call it, to keep us from ever remembering who we were by changing the narrative. This was the purpose of the paper genocide, to confuse who we are when we look in the history books and to teach us to disregard what our elders told us and believe what the historians wrote. We don't always believe them because some of the stuff don't match up with what my grandma told me, what Papa told me. It ain't matching. But it's their history, and history is written by the victors. So then you ask yourself, if the victors wrote the history, how will they tell the story to keep the conquered from rising up from under the conquest? always confuse their identity of self. It's the George Washington challenge. 200 years later, will they know who they are? Will they know what side of the ocean they originate from? Tell them they from Africa. Tell them they ain't from here. But all of the mounds say different. All of the artwork say different. The pottery and the crafts say different. Our understanding of how we move on the land say we've been here. So now you see them scurrying in their system to make arrangements to fit their narrative into the reversal of what they did in the first place as the dirt. You can't fix it now. It's too far gone. But the appearance of fixing it is actually backstepping you out of the process. The same thing they should have did in 1866, they want to do in 2025. That don't make sense unless it's an agenda attached. And that's most likely the case. And the case is they have to take the republic from the admiralty in order to give the law of the land back to the tribes. You know, silence that.
I don't know if you wanted to do any more interactions on that Q&A. I just wanted to bring it to you so you saw where, and by the way, this was from 2023, McGirt v. Oklahoma. And until Viola Ford Flesher's issue is presented correctly, because this last ruling from the Oklahoma Supreme Court, which had one of the judges in tears, was based on a nuisance suit, a public nuisance suit. The bodies are still being dug up from the massacre.
They still
That's
have
an ongoing crime. There's no statute of limitations on murder.
Yeah, but look, they still haven't overturned the Dred Scott case. That means that it's still active in law. Whether we think it's active or not in our day-to-day life, in the system of law and jurisprudence, the Dred Scott case, where we have no rights that they bound to respect, still applies in their system until they overturn the ruling. So anytime that we make a complaint, it's irrelevant to us because we outlaw tribes. We didn't have anything to do with their system. So when we get caught in their system, they have no regard for us. We don't have no party to we ain't got no dog in that fight. We just there at their dog fight. So they don't have they feed us to the dogs. It don't matter to them because it's a military conquest in the first place. The conqueror makes the rules, and the conquered follow suit until he realizes that he's been conquered, and he rallied the troops in order to reclaim what's rightfully his. Right? She gonna get what she got coming to her. But the problem is until we realize who we are in enough quantity to reach critical mass, we're going to still be seeing it. They following their rules. They wrote the rules. I didn't write them. I read them because whenever the cheater is playing the game, you got to go in his rule book in order to enforce the rules.
Now, Rob, what you just said was the pushing the black narrative. And I'm not disagreeing with none of what you just said. But pushing the black narrative shows and proves you're being made a black condition. Black is not a people. It is a treatment.
It is a culture.
It is oppression. It is condition. And when they put that woman up there and hoping she dies, and she says she will stay as long as she needs to stay. I'm talking about Viola Ford Fletcher, 111. That black don't crack. Okay? But the other black, which is supposed to be in the black, that's the only good thing, Rod. You need to get broke off, bro. And I yield. Y'all have a good evening.
I concur with exactly what you just said.
Some people see black as being a culture. I'm one of them. Be honest.
So when they started calling us black, it was in relation to the caste system in the chess game.
Right, but you know us as a people, we could take one thing and turn it into something completely different. That
Yeah, we turned it into art.
We turned it into art. That's what I'm saying. Black is, to me, like it's a culture. It's something stronger than it became. I would say that. So Alabama won't think I'm being disrespectful. It became something stronger than what they, just as strong as what they try to put on it for us.
Everything they did to hold us down, we found a way to either make it look good or feel good.
Thank you, Rod. You said, yes, and that is us. That is something that only culturally we do. That's what we do. Okay, so is there anything else you wanted to say about that, Dots? Because that was your
No, I think that's a great closing.
Mm-hmm.
I do.
Because we're having a part 2 that we've already talked about because I tried to squeeze him out for tomorrow or Sunday. He said we gotta do it Monday, but we must and we have to, because it is very vital and important that we speak on this. All not that we care, but yet we care about this all white community that is being. And look, you got your face all smiled up. I don't know if Ali Bamboo heard about it yet, but this all white community that is being made in Missouri. I think it's Arkansas, Missouri. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Am I right? Right, it's in Arkansas. And what they're saying is no blacks, actually no other race. And no homosexuals, LBG, all the the alphabets, all of that are not allowed in this community. I guess they're gonna have their own banks, their own supermarkets, their own jobs. I mean, we all know that they're gonna be using everything that everybody that is not white invented in a land that they stole, and starting this whole thing on a land that they stole. But it is a subject that I think that we need to talk about.
More than a comment, I got a serious question.
Please don't. Okay, if you say, why do we care? Okay, go ahead.
Who paying for this?
Okay. Okay. I think that they've tried to do this many times when they tried to move out of the city, and the city was actually, I think, supposed to be for them at first, but they moved out of the city when in suburban areas. I think because where I live in right now, there was a time that black people were not allowed in this area that I live in right now.
Listen, in order for organize banks, stores, costs requires capital.
Mm-hmm.
Who's ever behind it is intent. It's inflammatory. It's an antagonistic response to losing control. Somebody with some money had to bankroll that project. And I'm not talking about your $2-3 million. I'm talking about some billionaires. The $2-3 million is pocket change to.
Well, remember, the Second Amendment allows, right, the formation of militias now. So this is going to be a good conversation.
Militia Montana is one of the most well-formed and organized militias in the country.
Right to bear arms, that's right. And you shall not infringe. That's right. A well-regulated militia is necessary to secure.
Constitutionally, we were all supposed to defend our own community.
That's right.
The police is a foreign occupying force.
That's right.
They don't got nothing to do with the people on the land. They got everything to do with some people that's on the other side of the ocean. They chartered out of London, England. And their fraternal order of police and all that is tied right back to the Masonic lodges of London, England. It's a military occupying force. They used to have checkpoints when they first started setting the police up.
They did.
But before they called them police, the checkpoints was called slave checkpoints. Where they checked your papers, your free papers, your driver's license, your social security card, your passport.
Let's talk about
to
it.
make sure that you are authorized by the colonizer, captor, conqueror to move about freely on the land with freedom of locomotion because you have your papers. Before they came, we didn't need no papers to go nowhere on the land. All we needed was our decency and common sense and good morals, and everybody accepted us like we was family. Now you need papers. That's a police state. America is a police state under admiralty jurisdiction being overthrown by a tribal jurisdiction being restored. Somebody got to pay for that stuff. And if they paying for it, they also paying for the news coverage. And news is strictly propaganda, so why is they telling us? They could have did it in silence and secrecy and nobody would have never knew.
That's true.
Why are they telling you? It's a cattle prod to keep you moving in the direction they want you to go. They want to push their agenda. But if you can't see their agenda, they can convince you to push it for them. So they can say, it wasn't me. It was them. Everybody came over here was supposed to isolate into their own community like the Amish, like the Quakers, like the Mormons, like the Jehovah's Witness. They was all supposed to form their own community under the rules of the tribes. But the government stepped in and turned them into 501c3s and made them all slaves right along with us. And gave them an agenda that if you want to keep existing, you have to follow.
That is true. It makes a lot of sense too.
That's the place to end on. We have 450 people in the building, y'all. On our show back. We love y'all. Shout out to Copper Goddess. Shout out to CJ, Cherise, Lindsay Hawk, Indigenous Black Man. Who's Tavina? Who else, y'all? Who else? Don't come at King Tay, the Treasury. We see y'all. The Lord's House. George, he always shouting out Alabama. What's up? I have people. My camp focus from Alabama on my dad's side. Yeah. DMQ Unlimited. Okay, I ain't reading all y'all names. Y'all, listen, we love y'all, okay? And we appreciate y'all. And we'll see y'all. I think we're coming back on Monday, right?
Monday. We're going to do, because we got to discuss this all-white community and how it could be dangerous though, right? Because they're trying to do this all over America. They're already putting signs out. Already stop allowing people of color, and if they can tell that you're homosexual, coming into different restaurants and stores.
Look, remember the first thing you gotta ask yourself is who's paying for all this shit.
Right.
The police is the first ones to tell you if you want to know the root to the problem, follow the money. You want to know who's responsible, follow the money.
You should see how they trying to make their little,
follow the money.
Little stuff.
If you don't understand propaganda warfare, then you won't never look to follow the money. That's how Antifa got busted and Black Lives Matter got busted because they followed the money.
Yeah, for sure.
Right? They found out George Soros was funding them.
Sure.
Right? For counter insurgency measures in order to influence the elections of the government.
Yeah.
Right? And they uncovered it all by following the money.
Yeah.
It's a book called Black Autonomy and Self-Determination I read years ago. And the book was about us going places on the land, setting up our own communities. We've been doing it. That's how the tribes got to populate the land, by settling tribal ideology in the geography. It was normally appointed by the big mamas. The big mamas say, you too big to live with Uncle Junebug. Y'all got to separate because y'all gonna come to a killing scrape. So I'm gonna give you your own territory so you can be the chief of your own tribe. You can't outshine Uncle Junebug and Uncle Junebug house. You can't do it. You can't tell Uncle Junebug how to run his house. That means you need your own house now. You set up your own clan, set up your own family plot, and build your own family with your hardwired instincts into them. But you can bring the best out of them, like Uncle Junebug brought you into being who you want to be. Right?
That's true.
Tribal tradition. So if they just telling you about some good people, most of these people passing. Most of these people y'all think is Caucasians, pale faces, is niggas passing.
They still doing that?
Copper gotta say, not Uncle Junebug. Yeah, I know we all had an Uncle Junebug.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, they said it too. Uncle Junebug.
And he was an alcoholic. I'm just gonna be honest. Uncle Junebug was a hot mess.
Oh, a hot mess.
A hot mess.
But he knew how to take care of his family, and he knew how to run that barbecue pit.
Right.
We just thought that he was so drunk he gonna fall in one day.
That's right.
But he ain't never fall.
That's right.
Say that no, we aren't scared, but to be aware of the danger that could come from.
They the same amount of dangerous to us as we is to them if we form our own community.
I agree, but it's better to be aware of the mayonnaise. I mean, it's better to be aware of what you're facing. I just think it's better to be aware.
Awareness is critical. Awareness is critical, but you gotta remember, if you take the right away from them, you take the right away from you.
Now, that's true too. I'm not trying to take the right way. I'm glad they letting us know who they are.
Look, if they want to move away from me, get the hell out of my neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care where they go when they leave my neighborhood. Just get the hell out of mine. I don't want you living by me if you don't want to live by me.
Right.
If you want to, you can go live with a pack of German Shepherds. I don't care.
Right.
It's the man that lived down the street from me. He got.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, can you hear me?
All right, hey, Roy, it's a lot going on in the media, man. Yeah, I can hear you clear. It's a lot going on in the media. For the first part, I think the IRS is Trump is running off the IRS, man. The Inquisition Revenue Services, man. What's your take on that, man? We can start it out right like the ice.
Remember, I told you a couple weeks ago that we had fired 1,500 IRS workers. Then, when we hung up, when we finished the last class, somebody sent me a clip of the brother talking about the IRS being closed, the buildings being closed. The IRS agent that like H&R Block agent that do your taxes, they going down to the IRS office and can't get in because there ain't nobody there. This is consistent with the fall of the Federal Reserve and the collapse of the old system, and right at the emergence of the new system. They use sensationalism and exaggeration to blow it out of proportion in order for you to not realize what they're doing. When you turn down the exaggeration, and then you can see it better for what it is. It's the same way with translating dreams.
My next question that we got for you is that, so we got the government shut down. We're going on day 13. Once they go, we're going on day 13. It'll be day 13 tomorrow. Now, once they go into a 15 days, 16 days, what have you, this is when the payments for some of these organizations that's connected with the federal government don't go out no more. What's your take on that? And for the people that's watching as part of those organizations that maybe not receive a paycheck and still got to go to work and hope that these guys clear everything up within the next couple of days.
Well, the military is guaranteed to get paid under Trump. Redistribution of the funds seized by Doge insisted that. So remember I told you last time it was a $2 billion package. It was a $200 billion package that they took from Doge to pay EBT and those SNAP and all that, single mothers with children, make sure they cover. So now we see he issued a statement saying that Schumer didn't want to start the government back and his soldiers couldn't get paid. Remember, as the commander-in-chief of the armed forces, your primary responsibility is to keep your army's morale high as you exercising hostile actions, especially when it's internally. So by him continuing their pay through Doge it shows more patriotic loyalty to the soldiers than to the political machine. So it's a subtle message that comes with that. So all of this is the shutdown of the old system, and then when they start rolling out the arrests in the next couple of weeks, then that's when they're going to start showing you why the old system was done away with and why the military had to intervene. If you know American history, the military has always reserved the right to intervene when the government go rogue. It's part of your Second Amendment militia rights. Well, that's why in their oath, they swear to protect it against all enemies, both foreign and domestic. But under the structure and anatomy of military, the only way you can use the Army, Navy, Air Force, and Marines at home is they have to be put under the command of the National Guard. So they call the dude that called the meeting with all of the generals, they say he was a failed National Guard general. Right? But obviously he wasn't, because he's now the director of the Department of Military or Department of War. So they're using the National Guard because there's a domestic enemy. ICE is under the jurisdiction of the Department of Justice. They're trying to recruit policemen out of the police force by offering them incentive packages that the bonus is more than their annual income, most of them. And then they got other benefits, signing benefits package with it, because they trying to let them know you got to get off the police force, and if you want to continue practicing law enforcement, you got to get under the right jurisdictional authority. Because now they're going under, they're securing the hotspot cities, the ones that they call hot targets. Then they just had a big old explosion on the military. Yeah, that's highly unlikely that wasn't deliberate, if somebody didn't bomb it. And we might not find out for another week or two. So that's not normal.
Hey, did they ever catch that dude, that serial killer yet in Houston?
Nope, they haven't caught him yet. They just found another body like 2 days ago. In a different, but they gonna catch him though because his pattern consistent.
It says, look, it says right here, it says, despite the discovery of more than 20 bodies in the Houston Bayou in 2025, authorities have not identified or arrested a serial killer in Houston officially. Mayor John Whitmire have repeatedly stated that there is no evidence connecting the deaths. What? Pushing back against
the only way that's possible is that's what you call a criminal dump site. But normally, wherever they dump bodies at like that, you normally have something that's gonna consume them quick. We talking about Texas, right?
Yeah.
Ain't no alligators in Texas, baby.
No.
Or is it?
Nah. They mostly Louisiana, Florida.
Because Texas right up against Louisiana, and Louisiana got gators. But Texas don't got gators. That sounds weird.
Yeah, they don't got no gator because it go from Louisiana, Mississippi, Mobile might have a few, but then it's just really Florida and Louisiana is the main two alligator crocodile states.
Look, I went to go visit Macomb, Mississippi, right?
Mississippi, yep.
Look, and my great grandmama's uncle. No, my grandmama's uncle got a park named after him called Percy Queen Park. Right? Old Irish senator. Anyway, all of the little people in the family, let's go down to Percy Queen Park, go swimming. Man, I get down to Percy Queen Park, I see trees just floating around in the water. They running in there swimming, and I'm like, I'm not going in there because them trees look like they got teeth. They swimming in there with the gators, man. I was like, y'all close. I can't do the gator thing. That ain't my lane. That's why I like the North, because we ain't got no gators or no sharks.
Yeah.
We got no. Only poisonous snake is the Mexican rattler, and they rare. They so rare that you might live in the woods all your life and never see one. So I ain't really worried about them. I ain't got to worry about no grizzlies. I don't got to worry about no polar bears. Occasionally, you might catch a puma or a wolverine in a strange part of Michigan. They had a couple Black Panther sightings up by Flint, between Flint and Saginaw, but we don't have that, like, that down south animal danger. We don't have that up here.
Yeah.
Really, and down south, you said you get ran over by a pack of wild boars, ate by alligators.